Treat knife crime like terrorism. That's what a former Home Office minister has exclusively told this programme. Police are continuing to investigate the deaths of two 17-year-old knife victims, Youssef Mackey in Greater Manchester and Jodie Chesney in Romford in East London. They are two of 10 teenagers fatally stabbed so far in 2019. 14-year-old Jaden Moody, Nedim Bilgin, who's 17, 19-year-old Legine Richards, Sidali Mohammed, who was 16, Abdullah Mohammed, who was also 16, Connor Brown was 18, Hazrat Umar was also 18, 19-year-old Kamali Gabadon Link, and 17-year-old Jodie Chesney and Youssef Mackey, also 17. We've had exclusive access to Nottinghamshire Police's knife crime unit. They're the only force outside London with a dedicated knife crime task force. Officers there are dealing with at least 2 stabbings a day. And doctors at a major trauma unit in the city say they resuscitated 28 children with serious knife wounds last year. Here's our reporter Noel Phillips' exclusive film.
It's been described as a national emergency.
Families wrecked, families ruined, communities almost under attack.
I'm lost all my mind after my son died.
These CCTV images show what the authorities are up against when it comes to tackling knife crime on the streets.
I could walk out of here now and someone could pull a knife or a gun on me. Like, it's normal in Nottingham. It's normal.
These violent attacks across the UK all happened in broad daylight amid concerns that the victims and perpetrators are getting younger.
Nearly every day, certainly every other day, we're having someone come in who's been the victim of knife violence.
One night I had 6 stabbings, and that was in a 12-hour period from 7 till 7.
This programme has been given unrestricted access to Nottinghamshire's Police Knife Crime Unit, the only force outside of London with a dedicated knife crime task force.
One arrested already, so
We're on an operation with officers targeting the criminals targeting the streets of Nottinghamshire, and it's not long before reports come in of a man with a deadly weapon. Last year, on average, police dealt with 17 knife incidents per week.
Right, I understand why you've been stopped, why you've been arrested.
Incidents involving knives, I would say, average about 2 a day within a 24-hour period. Sometimes that goes higher, usually in the summer months, and sometimes that goes lower, usually in the darker months. But those incidents don't always involve physical stabbing. Quite often those incidents involve threats with knives, or where people have committed a threat with a knife and then we go and arrest them later.
Nearly 900 incidents involving knives were recorded in Nottinghamshire last year, compared to 794 the previous 12 months. Where there are drugs, there are often weapons like knives or firearms.
So this is what you've recovered from the car?
Yeah, this is just down by the driver's seat, literally within arm's reach of the driver. She claims there's a tool from his toolbox.
Home Office figures show out of 43 forces, Nottinghamshire Police saw the 7th highest number of knife crime offences per head of population between April 2017 to March 2018. The Chief Constable says children are being trafficked beyond Nottinghamshire's borders by gangs spreading violence and drugs to rural areas, often referred to as so-called county lines.
I am more concerned about younger people being involved in knife crime. I think what we've seen, particularly of recent times, is that we've recovered children from outside Nottinghamshire who were born and bred in Nottingham, and certainly they've been used as part of a wider criminal network to go and ply the trade of selling drugs elsewhere. So we are, I think, a net exporter of children who go and do that as part of gangs.
50 there at the minute.
Back at the police station, officers have carried out a strip search on the man arrested earlier and have found what they suspect to be Class A drugs.
No, they're separate, they are.
At Nottingham's Queen's Medical Hospital, one of the biggest trauma centres in the UK, doctors are seeing at least one person a week with severe knife injuries.
The last 12 months have been the busiest 12 months we've ever seen for violence leading to trauma and certainly for knife crime. nearly every day, certainly every other day, we're having someone come in who's been the victim of knife violence and are seriously injured and need a procedure of one sort or another.
The youngest patient I've treated is probably 14. I'd say my max I've ever seen is in one night I had 6 stabbings, and that was in a 12-hour period from 7 till 7. So yeah, it's certainly increasing a lot.
A glimpse of what medics are dealing with at this trauma centre. This 20-year-old student was given a 1% chance of surviving after being stabbed twice following an argument in November 2017.
Across the country, we do need to pick this up as a public health issue. We don't want to see any more of this. We need to do something to try and reduce the number of patients who are becoming the victims of knife violence. We don't want to have those conversations with families, with loved ones, to explain that their son, daughter, brother, sister has been involved in knife violence.
Last year, medics at this hospital resuscitated 28 children with serious knife wounds, a 50% increase compared to the previous year.
Yes, bro. Where are you?
But not everyone can be saved.
My son is my everything for me. I miss my son. I'm crying every day, 24/7. I'm crying. I'm lost all my mind after my son died. I can't wait without my son. My son is my everything.
Sega Rubet's 20-year-old son, Ezra Magedi, was stabbed to death in September 2018. He died at the Queen's Medical Centre. This is one of the last videos that she has of him before he left home.
Before, I'm ringing my son. He's not answering me. I'm sending text message. Not answering. My body is shocking. What is going on, my son? I'm scared every minute because maybe he's crying. Maybe he's calling my name. He's saying, "Mommy," or something. I don't know. I'm not seeing that time.
5 teenagers have pleaded not guilty to Ezram's murder. He's one of 6 people who died in knife attacks between October 2017 and September 2018 in Nottingham.
Count on faster with quick like Speedy Gonzalez. On the cheese race, man, I feel it like Speedy Gonzalez.
Before turning his back on crime, Nottingham rapper Fadiz served a short prison sentence for carrying a blade.
If I didn't carry a knife, I didn't feel safe. My life could have been taken in an instant if I didn't have a knife. But I could walk out of here now and someone could pull a knife or a gun on me. Like, it's normal in Nottingham. It's normal. Because I actually thought I wouldn't be that guy to carry a knife, like when I was younger, but I was.
And when you decided to carry a knife, where did you get that knife from?
God rest her soul, it was in my grandma's kitchen, man. Like you can get it from your mum's kitchen, your dad's kitchen. I used to think weapons are power, but knowledge is power. That's what I've come to realization now. Like, I don't need to roll with anything to feel power.
Back on the road with the knife crime unit, and the next call is to a teenager with a knife.
There's a lot of smashed glass and stuff around in here. I think he's been smashing out of stuff. Find out where the knife is.
A 14-year-old boy was found with a knife following an argument with his family. Knives aren't just being used on the streets. There were 329 incidents involving blades inside homes in the last year.
Now, the challenge to keep knives off the streets is an ongoing battle. The knife crime team, though, have seized more than 125 weapons and have arrested more than 240 people in the last 12 months.
Man, for whatever reason, knocked off his moped. And for me, the focus of it was just, people can say this, people can say that, but it was a 14-year-old boy. Horrendous.
In this park in Nottinghamshire is a memorial for the teenager Jaden Moody, who was stabbed to death in East London 4 months ago. It's a crime that has left his local MP demanding action.
Well, I'm calling for Cobra to meet. It's a national crisis, it's a national emergency. In the face of many other national emergencies, whether it be terrorism, whether it be floods, the government quite rightly in those circumstances bring everybody together at Cobra. That's what they should be doing with respect to knife crime. We're seeing the murder of young people and many others on our streets, families wrecked, families ruined, communities almost under attack.
You're a former Home Office Minister, you know how the government operates, you've been to many Cobra meetings. Do you really believe that knife crime should be treated with such urgency?
If a terrorist incident occurs, of course we should deal with that really seriously. But this is also something which is a national crisis, a national emergency.
The Home Office tell us knife crime is claiming too many young lives and devastating communities, which is why they created the Serious Violence Task Force, chaired by the Home Secretary and senior police officers.
The incident took place and I had the hammer on me.
So why are more young people now carrying dangerous weapons, including knives? This is Joker, a former offender who went to prison for attacking someone with a hammer. Why did you feel the need to carry a weapon?
I guess the people that I was moving with at the time, we all had something rolling. We all had something on us, you know what I mean? So just in case anything happened, you know, in case we had any beef with anybody or a problem with like people or whatnot. But mainly to defend yourself, really.
What's your message to anyone who's carrying a knife right now?
If you get into a situation where you pull it out, you're going to find yourself using it. Good luck in court, because it's only jail you're going.
Although Nottinghamshire Police's Knife Crime Task Force is barely 2 years old, its chief constable says the force is already turning the tide when it comes to fighting back against those using deadly weapons on the streets.
What's your message to those families who've lost loved ones, whose lives have been completely ripped apart?
I find their position something which is absolutely unbelievably devastating, and I can't begin to contemplate how it would feel to lose a child. That's my first statement, but let me be really clear as Chief. I am absolutely committed to attacking this issue.